How's it going, everyone? John here, the host of Spear Talk. You might not know this, but before I record an episode, I like to break a sweat. And I do that using the Chop Fit. Over the course of the past year, the Chop Fit has allowed me to lose weight, tone up my body, and feel even more amazing about myself. A feeling that you should all feel about yourselves as well. If you use this code, SpearChop10, you get $10 off your order. Once again, use code SpearChop10 and $10 off your Chop Fit order. It'll change your life. Thank you. How's it going, everyone? John here, the host of Spear Talk. Today, we are welcoming the amazing Andrew Bryniarski, who, for me, I got my introduction to him through one of my favorite movies of all time, Hudson Hawk. But he's also Leatherface, the recent remakes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. The Program, Batman Returns, Street Fighter, just an overall bodybuilder, professional wrestler, stuntman. Like you are one incredible guy. And so it's fortunate to have you on here today, Andrew.
Thank you. Very kind. Thank you very much.
Now, I know the last year has been kind of crazy for everyone, but for 2020, how would you sum that up in terms of the effect it had on your physical and mental well-being, especially in your industry that's completely got shut down?
Well, it didn't really affect me that dramatically. I removed myself from quote Hollywood some time ago. I live a somewhat isolated existence up in the mountains, on the top of a mountain with many species, humans being on the not so important, not so many of them on the scale, and I do the same things that I did anyway. And if I need to go down into the city for something, I do. But I stay up on the mountain.
I like that. You've got the beard for it too. It's quite intimidating.
That's why I grow it, to intimidate people. Let me tell you.
It
doesn't work so much against the bears and the mountain lions, but I'm hoping it gets a little more intimidating, and it goes in my favor one of these days.
Have you always, growing up, were you always an outdoor person, like in the wilderness, or is this something where the industry got so jaded and filled with bullshit that you kind of wanted to get away from it?
Well, I lived at the beach my first 20-some years out here in California, and then it got kind of shitty at the beach for a lot of reasons, and living in the beach wasn't the thing anymore. So I checked out the mountains and love the mountains just as much as I love the beach, but it's a lot cleaner and it's easier living up there for me. Less nonsense and less people and less politics.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I wish, and you and I joked before we jumped on here a couple hours ago, but the social media and technology, I find that, yeah, it's a necessary evil because you do have to communicate or see family, friends, or you have to do work calls and stuff like that. But I wish it went back when I was younger, like 1990s, where it's just so like pedestrian. It's like the kitchen phone in the kitchen will only go 8 feet. Now we have all this stuff in our pockets, and it kind of drives me mad. And I'm glad to see you kind of looking at it the same way, because it's definitely ruined a lot of people's lives.
Yeah. I don't know, John. I think a lot of the things going on are designed to ruin a lot of people's lives these days. Unfortunately, it's a mess that we're in right now.
I mentioned Hudson Hawk, and I do want to talk about the character because it's so. You play Butterfinger, obviously, and it's whoever hasn't seen this movie. It's Bruce Willis, Danny Aiello, just David Caruso, like just incredibly weird, eccentric. But your character, for whatever reason, it caught me off guard because you're obviously just a real life intimidating guy, big guy. But your character, yeah, he's physically imposing, but he comes off as so kind of dumb, but like effect, like very. He's just very relatable. And so when you do a movie like that, obviously it was your big break in terms
Beautifully
of
naive.
right. How much control over that character did you have to make it your own?
I had a lot of control over that. I mean, there was not a lot of control during the filming of the movie, but one thing that became clear to me and some of the other cast members, I was particularly close to Don Harvey at the time, and it was my first film ever, and we were in New York, and we were in Italy, all over Italy, and we were in Hungary, London, and there became he has a master in fine arts from Yale, and
Right.
I was completely green. And the changes on that movie, even while we were overseas on location, just would come fast and furious every day. There'd be weeks off where we would be paid to hold while they tried to reassess and control the inner political workings of that film behind the scenes. And it wasn't going to happen. And it was kind of like an out of control train. But what we realized as performers were funny is money and whatever is clever. And, it's all crafty bullshit. So
Yeah.
you reach into your pocket, you get as crafty as you can, your best handful of crafty bullshit. You throw your best crafty bullshit as well and straight as you can. If your crafty bullshit flies straight and sticks to the wall, then damn, don't you throw some good crafty bullshit. Put your name on it. And, it was very creative and fulfilling that way because it was the challenge, was to get the laughs. And they say I did pretty good doing that. So
Yeah. No, that
I'm
movie is
I'm grateful
so
for the people that mentored me on that, my first film, and allowed me to steal all the laughs in that movie. I wouldn't have been able to do it without the level of talent, professionalism, and experience of the rest of my cast and crew because they were really there for me, supportive and nurturing. So it was a great environment for me.
I love
My
that.
first film, and it was also to date the most expensive Hollywood production that Hollywood had ever, endeavored to create, and it was under a lot of fire and took a lot of heat for that. And it's not. I was traveling around Europe on the Concorde and staying in five-star hotels and stealing all the laughs from Bruce Willis. So it wasn't a horrible time in my life. It's quite a way to jump right in. Trial by fire.
Right.
I'm sure I would never have worked again if I had sucked. I'll
No,
still never work for Joe Silver again, which is a shame. But you win some, you lose some along the way to
right.
victory.
Now, how do you were bodybuilding and you're doing all this stuff. How did you kind of get into the Hollywood scene? Like, how does someone find you to cast you in that role?
Well, I was kind of like a dinosaur back in those days. I was a bodybuilding phenomenon. I was a freak, way ahead of my time and the curve. And it had been a long time since Arnold was bodybuilding, and bodybuilding was back underground and it was not popular or mainstream at all. I did it for personal reasons. It was like constructive therapy.
Yep.
And eventually, it became something. It wasn't for other people. The reason I did it was to heal myself and to make something, better of myself. And people would break their neck though everywhere I went. Like they were like I was a walking dinosaur. And
Yep.
my attitude then was, I don't really care what your opinion is of what I do, because I won't have a high opinion of your lazy, slovenly ass either. But whether they loved me or hated me, I thought, wow, it must sure be fucking fascinating, though, that everybody breaks your fucking neck everywhere I fucking go. Just
Right.
like line after line without exception. And I thought, I need somebody to throw me a nickel every time somebody breaks their neck and stares at me with utter fascination. Love me or hate me, look at you fucking stare at me as long as you need to. Get a good look. Maybe it'll inspire you. Maybe it'll show you your own fucking, limitations. Maybe it'll get your ego to get up off your ass and do something. Who cares? I didn't care. Like, good for you. I'm glad I could do that for you. Whatever it was, I didn't do it for anybody except myself in the first place. But it was such a phenomenon that I said, how do I get a nickel for everybody who stares at me? And somebody said, I guess, you should go to Hollywood and be a movie star. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just go to Hollywood and be a movie star. I was like, well, I could kick Arnold's ass and probably fuck his girlfriend. So why don't I go to Hollywood, take his jobs? And literally, that was my maybe too many afternoons watching pro wrestling attitude growing up. But how I saw it, and that's how it was.
How
worked out all right.
For the program, is your character Steve? How close are you to that character in real life?
To Steve Lattimer.
Yeah, is there anything about that
character?
In
real life, that performance is part of my life now. How much was I like that character at the time? I mean, I drew inspiration from the arts. It was supposed to be a lesson against using steroids, make it look horrible and taboo. Unfortunately, my charisma and enthusiasm kind of turned it into a, hey, I need to get some of that juice fucking movie. And, hey, we have bigger, stronger, faster Americans. And, the alpha males in America are in much better shape after that movie became into existence in the, popular lexicon than before. So, but do I have roid rage issues? Have I ever been out of control like that guy? No, it was a performance. I often say if I acted the way I acted in a lot of my performances, it'd be like the Daffy Duck cartoon. This next trick I can only do once,
Right.
I wouldn't get away with anything like I do in the movies for a hot minute in the real world.
One of the interesting things for Batman Returns.
I don't date rape chicks in fits of roid rage.
Right. Or kill people in an old abandoned house in the South.
Yeah, I don't cry when I have something, an obstacle that presents itself.
When the interesting thing about Batman Returns, you play a character that's not attacking people.
However, I will say this before I move on about the program. The heart and the tenacity and the hard work, his work ethic, that was all 100% me. And preparing for that role behind the scenes, that was 100% me. Being my best and ensuring that the shoot dates coordinated with when I was going to look good if I had to take off my shirt, and so that my body would match certain requirements the way I, saw them for the film in different scenes to help tell the story. I used a lot of my bodybuilding experience and diet experience, just ridiculous training ethic. That was a lot like me. I was not only training after practice, I was training after work, shooting the movie, and then going to the gym at night. On top of that, it was 24 hours a day hard work for me.
I love
on the Batman Returns, which actually happened earlier than the program, but 1 year earlier.
So one of the cool things about Batman Returns is that you got to play a character that showcased your actual acting ability too, as opposed to just playing this menacing good or bad guy. And I thought that was really cool.
Thanks. The thing about Batman Returns is that was another B-leaguer production that went on for 7 or 9 months, and a lot of people got fired as they changed directions on the film, and his egos clashed and demanded more screen time for their characters and their clients. And originally, there was a ton of stuff between me and Michelle Pfeiffer that would have really made What You Say True more about showing the performance and the craft that was originally intended to be part of the film, but it turned into the Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin, and if you weren't one of those things, you had to get the fuck on and get out of the movie. And I survived all the cuts. I mean, I didn't get fired. David Wayans got fired. A lot of people were getting dropped every single day I went to work, and then they'd have a couple of days off unexpectedly and fire some more people. And the good news is, the bad news is Tim Burton would tell me is, you're still in the movie. These people aren't. But the bad news is, like, these 5 pages of really witty S&M bondage kind of Michelle Pfeiffer confrontation stuff after we throw her out the window. All that shit that was in there is gone. And I'm like, oh man, that was my whole fucking character. It turns out now, I'm more like background dressing, but it's cool. It was a lot more to the experience than people will ever know, and it was Michelle Pfeiffer's ego, really. And at the time, she was very insecure, completely neurotic, and she was a strange bird, I'll tell you that. And she wanted more close up Catwoman shit and nothing to do with the scenes that were written with her and I. So she had them taken out of the film. And in the end, you get to see me do a little bit of my Christopher Walken impression and stand around like furniture, but I'm still always going to be proud that I was in that film, and there was a lot more experience and a lot more was shared with the people involved that I can never forget or regret.
Right.
So thank you for the compliment. I only wish that people could have seen the performance that I had for that film.
Right. One of the from one production to another that I've heard and read some insane Street Fighter. Your character Zangief, easily one of the best players in that actual video game series from Capcom. But half the stories I read, I don't want to believe, and half I do. Was how crazy was the filming of that? It wasn't fun for you, at least in between the filming of the takes and all.
Hell yeah! I mean, there was nothing that could not have me have fun at that point in my life. I mean, I was 24. I've been in film since I was 20. Things are going well. I'm traveling around the world again, first class. Had a 6 spot in Queensland, Surfers Paradise, like 35th floor of this condominium. When I realized what they were paying for the Marriott at Surfers, I was like, we're going to be here for 2 months. I could just, save the production a ton of money and just get this $10,000 a month condo.
Right.
And so I was living life with a mohawk. That was the first white guy with a mohawk, doing the Mr. T look. Yep. With a pair of Ray-Ban mirrored aviators, just with a physique, walking around like completely. It wasn't, it might sound something like, you see every day, but it was not something anybody had ever seen any day. And it was a good time. Everybody treated me well everywhere I went. I have adventures and stories. It was hard working with Van Damme. Van Damme was,
right,
coked out of his fucking mind to the point where, the way I always saw it was and he was very intimidated by me, but he was playing this role of this movie star that he created. And he's really just Jean, Van
Right.
Varenberg. And he didn't really know how to act with another layer on top of that. He was putting on his best performance every day, being Jean Claude Van Damme for the people that he was making promises that he couldn't deliver for. And
Right.
yeah, I was about 265 pounds and in shape, and I was probably 100 pounds of muscle more than he had. And he was very intimidated by that and would say stupid things to me, like someone who was like, "Wow, you're a really big guy. How'd you get this job? Who hired you? What do you do? What are you doing here on this movie? Wow, you're a really big guy. You're not fat. You're just huge. Wow. How much you weigh?" Oh, and I was just like, "It'll be all right, John Claude." And a lot of people, pointed out before I had to do scenes with him, and his behavior showed me a lot about what was going on. It was a hot mess. I knew that I'd have to be crafty and bring things. I mean, there was like Rashawn Seth, who's a legitimate actor at that point, and he said he came back from working with Van Damme one day and said he wanted all his scenes cut out of the movie because he felt like he was drugged down to Van Damme's level.
Wow.
Um, and I heeded that warning and made sure that I had some funny stuff going into the scenes I did with him. The scene at the end where I give him the sideways thumbs up. I had done that earlier and made it a running joke, and the thing with Ryu and Ken turning my thumb up, and that was just some good running, humor and sight gag. And so I fed it to Van Damme at the end when he just has that dumb look on his face, and even he knew what to do. And I explained it to him, and the fact that it was, that it was clever and it was funny right away, like
Right.
the look on his face, like somebody had just given him the keys to the universe, like, oh my God, yeah, we're gonna do that. Let's do that. And I'm like, so I refuse to suck just because the guy next to me sucks. I'll carry him if I have to. And that's part of an ensemble cast.
It's cool
And it's
how
just part of the way I view my craft. I don't do movies to suck or not to give them something they can use that's going to work.
it's
That's
really
creative and
cool how
crafty.
you're
But
able to.
Van Damme would just go walk right through the fucking thing with nothing and catch a check and not give a shit. So I had to try harder than him, that's for sure. But it worked out. I don't mind.
Yeah, it's
The
awesome.
answers are in the work. Funny's money and whatever's clever. So you got to find your best shit. Like I said, another case.
It's interesting how you're able to kind of bring these nuances to your character, and it's kind of cool hearing you talk about these because when you watch these movies, especially Street Fighter, it's like, yeah, there's this imposing, intimidating guy that was got this crazy backstory from the video game, but it's like there's something different with it because it's you kind of finding the absurdity in the situation you're in, but making it
Yeah.
believable and fun. It's really cool.
Well, it's like a movie might be destined to suck, and it might be maybe it's gonna sink. But I didn't come there to join a sinking ship. I
Right.
don't suck, and when I'm hired, I'm gonna perform my character to its ultimate potential and make it the best it could fucking be by having me in the driver's seat and bringing that view.
Right.
Um, so if everything about the movie is gonna suck, I'm still not there to suck. I won't let it make me suck. That would
Right.
be a problem. But it's not a problem for me if I do my job and shine. If I could bring, the ship up a little bit, great. If I can't save the sinking ship, well, you know what? My character was never meant to fucking support the weight of the whole ship. But I'll definitely do what I can to turn a duck into a fucking rose. And at least with what I can do, anything I can do, uh, I'll do. I'll put what I do on it to the best of my ability, and I won't walk away until the best that I have is on the floor and can.
One of the my favorite. You've done a ton of football movies, but one of my favorite sports movies, again for its absurdity and over the top action, the way it was filmed, was Any Given Sunday. And I've always wondered. Obviously, your character's great. It's believable, and you work with Lawrence Taylor and all these guys. But during that Peace for Inches speech with Al Pacino, when you hear an actor and you know the lines are coming and you know it's a movie, but when you hear a speech like that, or do you get motivated when you hear stuff like that?
Oh, dude, I was really given a lot of leash by Oliver Stone as far as creating my character and just don't suck. Like literally, that would be Oliver's direction, and hey, I'm all for that because I don't suck, and he didn't want to hear that specifically, but that's how it is. And I made a few mistakes, pissed him off a lot fewer than other people. Oliver's an exacting guy, and without Pacino, there was a lot more going on. He was feeding off of the incredible amount of testosterone on the set, and up in it, I was doing some of that stuff. Some of my dialogue and some of my scenes, I'd pull off of the walls where it was written, these Lombardi quotes and stuff. And a lot of that was turned into dialogue for Al Pacino stuff. Use your environment. It's one of the first rules of filmmaking or acting. And he that scene, it was too hype. The room was exploding literally. Before Al could get his, like we were exploding and had to sit on it before he started his first take. At one point it was so too much. He called me by name. He's like, Andrew. I'm like, oh shit.
I'm glad you brought up the idea, the testosterone with filming Any Given Sunday, because I pictured you, Lawrence Taylor, all these alpha males just creating chaos, playing football, and doing your thing. In an interview you did before, which I found amazing, is that they were trying out the different quarterbacks. You said that P. Diddy actually tried to or came out to be a quarterback with
he was hired. He had the job.
Wow.
Jamie Foxx was a Hail Mary that was suggested and thrown at Oliver on location as the decision was being made to fire P. Diddy because he threw like a girl, quote. And he did. And, the rest is history for Jamie Foxx. He used he had an incredible opportunity to really. Jamie really ran with the ball and that. He really understood what it was like working with Oliver and the opportunity. And, again, without Pacino and the amount of testosterone going on. At the end, I wanted to thank Al, and I said, Al, in the beginning, Oliver Stone had me in his office and said, I just want to know if you blew your load or if you can do this again. And I'm like, more crazy football playing maniac, you can't possibly on steroids, you can't fucking buy for the money. And he's like, okay, good, great. And he's all happy. And Al Pacino came up the elevator and walked into Oliver's office. I was about to leave, and Oliver was showing me out. And he said, Al, oh. And they gave each other a hug. And he said, I just want you to meet this kid you're going to love working with. His name's Andrew Bryniarski, and he's an amazing actor. You're going to love him. And I was just like, what? And I'm like, wow. I'm like, yeah, he's killing me. I'm like, Al, I hear you're pretty good too. And at the end, I said, I just wanted to thank you, Al, for,
Right.
how amazing you were to work with, and how gracious and how humble. And I said people are upset when when they meet their heroes, but you're better than people even know, and it's a thrill to be able to work with you. Thank you so much. He goes, Andrew, enough, and I go, Al, I'm just trying. He goes, Andrew, and I said, but Al, I'm just trying. He goes, Andrew, I'll never forget working with you. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, see that? That's exactly what I mean. I'm like, now
Yep.
that's a fact, and I get that from Al Pacino, and even if you're Al Pacino, you're not going to see the likes of me anytime fucking soon, and nothing could have prepared you. But
Right.
at the end, it was a beautiful fucking thing for both of us. So, nothing but love for Oliver Stone and Al Pacino.
I love that.
Um, Lawrence Taylor. Now, what was the next part of the question about alpha male insanity?
Well, it's
There
just
was much.
you mentioned the testosterone, but I can only imagine with so many alpha male type personalities there that you guys like. Were you hitting the gyms? Were you guys like how fun was it
I
filming?
was. I don't care about anybody else. Oliver Stone told everybody because I didn't sign my contract fast enough. I had to do a table read with no script. I had to go to Miami with no contract. And then I had to do a football combine with a bunch of guys who were told that, I didn't have the job yet. And if they wanted it, they could take it away from me. And, that was fine with me. I was just drawing a line on the scrimmage and said, anybody that wants to try to fucking be a hero, get a couple cameras and set it up. And, there was a lot of, oh, he's an actor, he's a fucking pussy, and all this shit. And I had to eat him for breakfast every morning, so I didn't mind. That's the game, and it really set the tone of how it is in the real game anyway.
Right.
So it was sure interesting though, and I mean, there was a lot of things going on. Jamie Williams at one point had been consulting on the script early on, and he didn't like, me getting coverage. Try to strut like a peacock and get more attention. And when he didn't, he'd get upset. He took a swing at me one time on the field. Lawrence Taylor, Oliver would say, go rehearse the scene I just wrote with you and Lawrence Taylor, and here's how I want it to go. And I'd be like, got it. And I'd try to talk to Lawrence Taylor, and he'd be like, man, get away from me. I don't want to talk to you. You ain't the director. Why don't you shut the fuck up, man? You ought to be an actor as much as you want to fucking rehearse. And, it was a fight. It was a fight until finally I explained to him, I am an actor. This is my work. And this is my
Right.
craft. And I'm trying to channel what you have, what makes you fucking special into this scene that was written by Oliver. And I'm supposed to get you to fucking look great in. You, me. I got to make you look good. You got to make me look good. You don't try, you don't get it. And when Oliver fucking hates us both, and we both fail the fucking movie, and Oliver, and he's like, so what do you mean? What are you trying to do? You like, and I spelled it out. And I went through it. I gave him the numbers. He's like, oh shit, I get it. That's great. He goes, okay then. He goes, oh, now I understand what the fuck you're trying to do. All right, cool. And after that, he tried to get me to start dipping again. And every time send somebody for a can of dip, he'd be like, hey, Drew, you want a can of dip? I'm getting some dip. Let me get you a can of dip. And I'd be like, I don't dip anymore. But, I did just a couple times
Right.
for old Lawrence Taylor at his request. So I let him bring back the old habit and give me a couple cans of Coke and, had a few dips with him, which I wouldn't have done for anybody else. But, he's Lawrence Taylor. And in the end,
Right. Of course.
he respected me, and we have fond memories.
I love that. Now, one of the obviously, I think a lot of people would recognize you or know you from the remakes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I guess I've always been wondering when you go out for a role like that. Not only do you have the not the baggage, but the history and lore of the another character playing this legendary horror icon. But how do you audition for that role? Do they look at you, be like, "Well, he's big, he's athletic, he can play his character." Like, how do you audition for that character?
I straightened Michael Bay out and Marcus Nispel out on all that because personally, the question was later presented: how do you fill such big shoes? Is that intimidating? And I'm like, have you seen my fucking feet? As soon as I cut the toes off of those fucking shoes, I made them work.
Right.
Fine,
Which is a
well
great
enough.
way to have. Right.
Busting out of those old fucking shoes that were left for me because they weren't big enough for my big fucking feet. So that's my answer. And I don't base my performance on anybody's shit.
Right.
Michael Bay originally they had thought should always hide his eyes, never see his eyes. We just interchange the biggest guy we have that day, and make him walk to the fucking same line in the storyboards. And our genius fucking filmmaking will just make that, simple. But it would have been no substance to the character, no humanity to the character, and it would have been cheap fucking scares, and it would have been more bullshit. There would have been no real on-camera graphic nature to it. It was destined to fail the way they saw it, and I tried to tell them, look, just any big fat retard in a fucking mask does not scare the alpha fucking male for one. It comes like a big bumbling, stumbling retard running at the alpha male, and you'll run a little wind sprint fucking away, scan the ground for a rock the size of a baseball, wait for him to get a little closer, and hit him right between the fucking eyes as he gets too close, like a Nolan Ryan fastball, and then you cut his head off with his own chainsaw and go home. And I said, but I'm the wrong motherfucker to chase you to your death with a wet fucking noodle. I'll beat you to fucking death with a wet noodle. And, if Willie McGinnis or Howie Long had rabies and they were behind the fucking mask, it's the apex fucking predator. And now it's contain the outside and then take an angle of pursuit to your fucking target. And, shit that I learned and I applied from being a defensive end.
Right.
And, like they got rabies too, so it's Howie Long, I believe, McGinnis. They're not talking to you about nothing. They're just gonna run fucking 4-5 fucking 40, with their head down and fucking cut your angle and expedite your fucking death. And they're gonna break your bones if they fucking want to the minute they put their fucking hands on you. And that's what you better fucking worry about. You better worry about the eyes show you what's behind the fucking mask. The eyes are the window of the soul. A picture's worth more than fucking 1,000 fucking words. Action speaks louder than fucking words. And you'll have ignorant, stupid people that want to kiss people's asses and hate on me and remember their old nostalgic bullshit as being something it isn't and how great they say it was in their head, whatever. They want to perpetuate these myths, but, it still doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the fucking facts. Like, you would have no fucking say in it. That makes it scary, when you see his motivation, that makes him human. And when you see his eyes,
yep.
They'd say, oh, but did you even have any lines in that movie? No. But you sure understood exactly what was fucking going on. When David Gilmour plays guitar, and even when he's not singing, he's painting the whole fucking picture with emotion and humanity and skill, and you see and you hear the picture even when he's not fucking saying anything.
Right.
Just by his guitar, and it's like your body language is the same way, your eyes are the same way. And I said to Michael Bay and Marcus Nispel, if you go ahead with the way you think, you're going to be the next guys in line to fail at your fucking, at the job. That's the same thing everybody before you's done, and that was their mistake. It matters who's in the fucking mask.
Yep.
It should The mask doesn't kill people. The mask isn't what's going to come and get you. That's just the gravy on the fucking top. That's just some fucking skin on top of a beast. But just because you put that scary looking skin on top of a fucking cow, it doesn't make it the fucking bull under there.
Right.
You know, you put that same shit on a bull and you're still not scared of the mask. You're scared of the fucking beast. And I wanted to make him a beast, but a human, you know, who had to become a beast because he was treated like a beast.
It's the bullying stuff
I
is
look
very.
at Leatherface the same way, and I think that's what is responsible for how I brought humanity to it, and that's why people empathize and sympathize for the character, even though I played the most heinous, brutal, mass murdering, violent, graphic serial killer
Right.
ever existed. And I held back nothing, you
Now,
know, and I did it like a force of nature.
before I guess before I let you go, my last question: When you do these conventions and they require you to have to say you got to dress like a Leatherface, would you put that
Nobody,
costume back?
nobody requires,
Okay,
nobody requires me to do anything.
okay. I was because I was
First of all,
curious if people. I know some actors just
that's a trend. That's a trend that I'm joining this year. I was all set to do
yep.
it last year. I will be doing that this year because now you know it's a special thing if you only do it every once in a while when you want to for the fans.
When you put
And
that on, though, do you go back to your mentality, getting back in that character?
hey, look, I mean, use your environment. Like I said, is one of the rules that I base my art on and performing on, and uh, perform to the audience. You know, direct your performance to the view of the audience. I'm an actor. I'm
Yep.
not Leatherface, but I I, I I play that crafty bullshit for all it's worth, and I put on the suit. I take off the suit. I'm fake for a living. I'm not fake in the real world. I'm not Leatherface, but when I put the Leatherface costume on, you know, and maybe crank some Slayer,
I
you
love it.
know, I can still roll my eyes back and fuck with people for some photo ops without necessarily saying I go into character. I never go into character or there'd be bodies everywhere and nobody would make any fucking horror movies anymore.
Love it.
You know,
Well,
people think, oh, he's method acting, and that's their erroneous impression because of what they see. You know, when they get their hair brushed and they get out of their costume, you know, for lunch and get back into it after they go through the works. My shit's on from the beginning of the day to the last fucking person leaves. I'm trying to scrub glue out of my fucking hair and my face. And every single day it's like that. So I don't get the luxury of taking off my shit, you know, and cleaning up between takes and acting like a normal person. I'll sit on the stairs in the basement and twiddle my thumbs and wait for camera to adjust. And, you know, I'll whistle Looney Tunes just because I'm bored.
yep.
And they'll think, oh, God, look, he never gets out of that crazy psycho fucking method acting. Nah, honey. That's how easy it is to, you know, when you throw a visual and people interpret it. I'm just comfortable in the costume. I'm comfortable doing my job,
Yep.
you know, even if that sounds strange. I know how to do my job, and my job is not to be that way in real life. It's to miss by that much and to swear like it was real and to make sure nobody gets hurt. It's all fun till somebody gets hurt.
Right.
And when somebody does, the show's over for everybody. So
Now you
it
are
takes a
you.
lot of professionalism and focus and exacting, knowledge of one's ability and ability to perform, which I'm more like a real deal kind of actor. Like I do things that I know I can do because I've tested my limits my whole life, and you know, physically and mentally, I guess it carries over. But
Right.
if I say I'm going to do something physically, if I sign up for it, it's because I walked through it and did the numbers in my head and checked it out and said I could do it because I was sure I could do it, which is really important. Like nobody will be able to put in a performance like that with that character ever again because I wouldn't want anybody but me trying to do what I do. It wouldn't work out.
Right.
People just can't do it, whether they think they can or say they can. Most people just don't and wait for some instruction. Somebody tell them exactly where to walk and how to stand, where to look, and what to think. And I'm lucky. I have freedom in my craft, and I'm set free by my art, and I love to get it out and to establish it, and put another performance in the can.
I love it, Andrew.
And I'll look forward to doing those photo ops for the fans and putting that back on. I don't do it for fun. I don't do it because people insist that I do it. But when I think it's time, and other people have had great success, I'm one of the last guys that's jumping on the bandwagon. So, yeah, it's time to do that for the people. And, it'll be a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's good. And that story where you kind of sent that woman in Montana, that super fan, a bunch of your autographed pictures, and it's kind of cool how you interact with your fans, and it's very cool to hear stuff like that you actually do actually care.
You think so? Fans. It's weird. It's weird when some 75-year-old chick has a crush on you.
Yeah, maybe it's the way you moved as Leatherface. You never know, man.
Getting old's rough, man. Let me tell you. Reality becomes comedy.
I love it. Well,
so,
Andrew,
lest I ever think I'm too cool. The hot chicks that are after me now are 75. Yeah. Yikes.
But they're Slayer fans. Anyway, Andrew, this was a blast. Thank you for this. Be safe. Thank you for sharing your stories. And we'll stay in touch.
Hey, for sure. It was a breeze. Sorry for the technical issues. And John, be well.
Thank you, sir. Be safe.
Good questions. It was genuinely fun. Good luck with your podcast. And be well, everybody out there in John's audience. All right. Peace.
Thank you all for checking out this week's episode. Once again, I'm John. If you liked what you heard and saw today, subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and check out our brand new merch store with hats, coffee mugs, t-shirts, other cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Again, thank you all for support. Be safe and see you next week.